Already feeling the pinch, pensioners now feel the government is pinching their money.
They're using the pensioners as a milch cow. We know that the government can make hundreds of millions of dollars by keeping the deeming rate where it is.
That rate was set in 2015 by then Social Services Minister Scott Morrison.
I'd like to see Albo and ScoMo get together and say it's no-go to have politics in the pension.
It was never meant to be a money maker for government. It was actually a help, if you like, for those people that had had a go and were trying to have a go, and now it looks like the government's having a go at them.
Ian is right. People are saying, well, look, I don't want to be involved in that. I don't want to be involved in that.
Exactly. And not only that, Alan, we need it for the pension, we need it for the deeming rate, and we need it for New Start. Now, they are three running sores and abject failures of policy by this government and previous governments. This is not just something that's happened overnight.
Ian, I can't get through. I talked to Josh Frydenberg and he said, oh, you know, we'll put the money somewhere else and he can get a better return and all the rest of it.
Can I stop you there, Alan? I just want to stop you there. He talks about a suite of investments available to older Australians, a suite of investments. Well, it's not too sweet when the share market goes down by $90,000 million in a day, and when people are watching the predictions of a slowing of growth in the UK, in Europe. I mean, you've got Brexit happening, you've got problems in China, you've got all this, and you are telling older Australians to go out and get into a suite of investments. Oh, pull the other one. I mean, this is just ridiculous policy. This government is asleep at the wheel because there is a major problem happening. Older Australians are being pushed out of jobs, they're chewing through their savings, others are being hit by these deeming rates, and they are not happy. And if they do not get this right in this retirement income review, there is going to be a huge backlash.
We're canvassing a lot of things here tonight, and you're obviously full bottle on this, so I just want to ask you a couple of phrases in a sense. You've also said that the government is balancing the budget on the back of pensioners.
If you've got $200,000 in the bank, which is where a pensioner might have it, and that's sort of, you know, let's just say it's an amount that they've got in the bank, they're deemed to be earning, say, 3%, which is what the government deeming rate is. So they're saying they're getting $6,000. We know that the bank might be paying them 1.5, so they're not getting that. They're getting $3,000. Then they get taxed 50 cents in the dollar on that, and they lose that money off their pension. $1,500 disappears from their pension. So for every million Australians that happens to, the government makes $1.5 billion. That's how they balance it. It's like one of those tricks where you move the money around and they go, right, we'll leave the deeming rate there, then we'll take the money off the pension there, the pension doesn't get the interest, and, of course, government wins, pensioner loses. I mean, I've said this before. I don't believe that the people in government today actually understand the minds of older Australians. I think they've lost touch with them. You know, you talk about the quiet Australians. Well, look, we represent the quiet Australians. National Seniors does. That's what we do. We hear their stories. We go and meet them. We talk to them. How often do you think some of these politicians actually go and actually talk to older Australians and actually find out what they're really worrying about? They wouldn't even be having this Royal Commission if it wasn't for people like National Seniors demanding that there was action for it, and also some of the horrific vision that was happening there. You just spoke to Ian Yates about the number of people that are actually waiting for a home care package. I mean, these are big issues, and the thing is, they're all interrelated. If you think about it, we live in an ecosystem, and that ecosystem, with the emphasis on eco-economics, is about the way that you structure the pension, the way you structure superannuation, how you pay for your aged care. All of those things are linked in together. And people losing their jobs in their 50s, people using up their savings, not having the money when they get to the pension age. It's all interrelated.
Ian, I don't want to end this interview by increasing your blood pressure, but in response to a question that I asked the Treasurer as to whether we needed an independent body to provide some clarity in these decisions, you ready for this, Ian? His answer was, we think that the appropriate process is the current one.
Well, the current one, we don't even know how it works. And I'll tell you something else just quickly before we go about the pension. You always hear this story that older Australians are a drain on the economy. Well, and older Australians are not a drain. In fact, they're going to actually cost less in future. So this idea that somehow or other older Australians are a drain is rubbish. We also, older Australians, help their children, they provide volunteerism, they do all sorts of things that are good. And I want to see ageism end in this country, and I want to see people be treated fairly.
Good on you. Well, look, they're lucky to have you as an advocate. This is Ian Henschke, who's the National Seniors Australian Chief Advocate. And it's a classic case, really. Why doesn't government talk to people who know? I mean, I'd be just saying, come down and see me, tell me what needs to be done. They pretend that they know and they haven't got a...
Government always knows best.
Government always knows best. Ian, thank you for that. Ian Henschke, there is a man...
very good,
Thank you.
What?
He's very good.
Very
Thank you
good.
very much.
Very good.
Yeah.
You introduced the deeming rate and you messed it up.
I didn't mess it up. But people have been working for 25 years ever since to mess it up.